here at the Whitefish Point Lighthouse, north of Paradise, Michigan.
Whitefish Point Lighthouse, which may be the most revered light of Michigan's 129 recognized lighthouses, is located in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan on Lake Superior. Whitefish Point was an early stopping place for Native Americans, French missionaries, and French and British fur traders. All vessels entering or exiting Lake Superior pass near Whitefish Point. The buildings surrounding the lighthouse were once home to Coast Guard workers stationed at the light. Whitefish Point marks the turning point for boats navigating this treacherous coastline to and from the St. Mary's River and the Sioux Locks. The original Whitefish Point Lighthouse was completed and lit in 1849. That first light was said to resemble the old Presque light in Michigan's Lower Peninsula. The original Whitefish Point Lighthouse was equipped with Winslow Lewis lamps. This system of 13 lamps and large reflectors was used to produce a fixed white light. The light was upgraded from the system of reflectors to a fourth-order Fresnel lens in 1857. The present light tower was constructed in 1861. This lighthouse is the oldest operating light in the Upper Peninsula. The oldest lighthouse in all of Michigan is the Fort Gratiot Lighthouse, which was lit in 1829. The present lighthouse at Whitefish Point is a steel cylinder and skeletal framework that is 78 feet tall. The skeletal steel framework was designed to relieve stress caused by high winds. The watch room sits just below the lantern room. The tower is attached to the keeper's quarters by a hallway on the second floor. Similar skeletal designs were used elsewhere on the Great Lakes, including at Manitou Island in Lake Superior off the Keweenaw Peninsula, Plum Island in Wisconsin, and the Sturgeon Bay Canal Light, also in Wisconsin. A fog signal building was added at Whitefish Point in 1875. The present brick fog signal building, located in front of the tower, was built in 1937 for both the fog signal and for radio beacon equipment. The Whitefish Point Lighthouse was automated in 1971. The current light can be seen for 15 miles on a clear night, and the prior automated light could be seen for 26 miles.
There are a bunch of awesome buildings on the ground.
This is the Lightkeepers' house. This is the old U.S. Navy radio building. You can spend the night at Whitefish Point by renting a room in the Coast Guard quarters.
There have been many shipwrecks in this area, so there's even a shipwreck museum here.
The Great Lakes Shipwreck Historical Society has owned the lighthouse since 1996. The Whitefish Point area has more shipwrecks than any other area in Lake Superior. There are 200 shipwrecks in the vicinity of Whitefish Point. The Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum memorializes fallen sailors and ships, including the Invincible, which is believed to have been the first ship to sail on Lake Superior. The Invincible was lost in a fierce storm back in 1816. In November of 1975, as the famous iron ore freighter the Edmund Fitzgerald struggled toward Whitefish Bay in a colossal storm, both the Whitefish Point light and the radio beacon at the remote navigational system at Whitefish Point suddenly clicked off due to the storm. The Fitzgerald, having already lost its radar capabilities, was now without the ability to home in on the automated radio beacon system at Whitefish Point. The gigantic freighter, nearly as long as 2.5 football fields, was left to fend for itself in the historic storm. The Fitzgerald went down about 15 miles north of Whitefish Point in Canadian waters. This is the bell from the Edmund Fitzgerald. This is the gigantic, 9-foot wide, 3,500 pound second order Fresnel lens that used to be in the red and white striped White Shoal Lighthouse. White Shoal is located 20 miles west of the Mackinac Bridge. I'm at the White Shoal Light on Lake Michigan. This lighthouse is 121 feet tall, making it the tallest lighthouse on the Great Lakes. This lighthouse used to use a second-order Fresnel lens. That made it the biggest Fresnel lens ever used on the Great Lakes.
Hello, come on in. This is set up in the 1890s, or what it looked like for the assistant lighthouse keeper. This was his residence on this site. You have displays in here of a lighthouse stuff on this half of the building. Down the end, you go up the stairs, come down the other side, and you'll see a day in the life of the lighthouse keeper in the mid-1920s.
They used for a fourth order Fresnel lens. This is a Lightkeepers mini library. Books in the area. This looks like it would be in the lighthouse keeper's room. They have tea, and pepper. They have eggs. This was a Coast Guard life-saving system that used rope like a zip line to help get sailors back to shore.
Here is the Tahquamenon Upper Falls.
If you're in the area of Whitefish Point, once you make it to Paradise, Michigan, it's an easy 15-minute drive to Tahquamenon Upper Falls and the nearby Tahquamenon Lower Falls. Once you reach Tahquamenon Falls, you will also be relatively close to the otherwise very remote Presque Point Lighthouse, which, like Whitefish Point, is also revered by lighthouse lovers, due in part to the substantial off-road four-wheel drive adventure that is necessary to get there. If you commit to the boggy, no phone signal adventure to Presque Point, make sure you turn north on County Road 500 from M123 and do not follow the suggested and seemingly shorter phone map directions coming from the direction of Paradise to avoid running into a time-consuming dead end.
go.
Timber!